hello guys, nice to see you. It means you watched the first and second episode and you thought, I want more of this, either because you purchased the RPG kit and you want to continue the project, or because you're just curious and you want to see more of how it's done. Either way, I'm glad that you're here. So before we get into episode 3, I would like to remind you, please wishlist my game on Steam, subscribe on YouTube, and give a like if you love the content. It's very important to help grow the community. So now let's move to the assets part. We're gonna start with just one asset for today, the Japanese city free version. It's basically the same asset that I use for my game, except that I use the full scale one. This is the free version. So we're gonna make the game with this. It's exactly the same thing that I got in my paid game. I mean, in my real commercial game that will come out in 2025. So this is the free asset. We will make our mini version of that for the guide with this asset. So you will go the link in the description below. Clicking on the link will put you to this website where you will go down and click on the download button. If you're nice, do say thank you to the creator of the asset. I don't want to butcher his name, but it's written Guti Creum. I really don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not good with languages. So yeah, you can say a good thank you. Me personally, I bought pretty much all he has, so it's my way to thank him. Also, I promote him like I'm doing right now. So I think I've done all I can to promote him at this point. I very much like these assets. So you're gonna download. Like I said, this one is free. Otherwise, you can go all out if you want, but I don't. We already paid for the kit, so for the purpose of this video series, I'm not gonna ask for people to buy any more stuff, you know. So just get free assets if you're just in to learn. So once you downloaded it, you're gonna have to extract it, of course, like everything. Once it's extracted, you're gonna see all these folders. You're gonna go in the free version one. Then you're not gonna go into the individual tile ones. What you want is the tile map, which is a map of all the tiles, all the little squares. So you're gonna go into the tile map. My French version will do that soon. Yeah, I'm doing a voiceover on this one also because it ends up having too much important information. So for now, I still have to do a voiceover. Perhaps the next one will be the lucky one. So I think he's catched up by now. Catched up. English is hard. So we're gonna grab the Tilemap.png and he's gonna drag it at the right place. So to keep the project organized, you want to at least stay in the Sprite folder area like I am right now. You can create a separate folder for like every city, and you should, because they end up taking a lot of space and it becomes more and more painful to find the right one. So you should fill that sprite folder, tileset folder, with like a pocket, a folder per city or something, or per environment, I should say. Otherwise, it's gonna quickly get messy. So yeah. So you're going to drag the tileset there, but it does not end there. You need to configure it after. So soon we'll be done talking and he will show you how to configure it. Until then, I have to wait. Sorry for the desynchronization with the French part, because I cannot remember word for word everything I said. So when I do an English dub, it's like doing commentary on a DVD, but a DVD that I only did once. So I don't know it by heart. So you see here what I'm showing is the tile map that we just put in a folder of the Unity, the free asset that I made you download. It's multiple objects. That's why it's called a tile map. So I speak about this because we need to decide, is it multiple or single, the sprite mode, the menu where my mouse is. This is multiple images, so we need to put it on multiple, and so I did. Next thing you do, you need to do the pixel per unit at 16. Otherwise, it's not going to be the proper size. Everything will be messed up. Then you go like I did, filter, and you put point no filter, and compression you put it at none. What this does is instead of making your graphic look less good to save storage space, since we're doing a 2D game, this is not the way to go. You want everything uncompressed, and the graphics will be a lot better. You need to do this to every single tile map that you will upload in game. You need to do multiple or single. You need to put them in 16 to remove both the point, no filter, and compression none. Then you click on apply, and we have to move to the next part, which is slicing them. So you click on the Sprite Editor. When you click on the Sprite Editor, this big window appears. Well, it's big at the moment because I need to shrink it. Now you see my French version struggling to hide this window. That's better. So once you're in that window, you will click on slice. There's a drop menu for type. It's by default on automatic, but you want to put it on a grid by cell size. Once you click on that, squares appear all over the place, but by default it put the 64 by 64, which is not the good thing. It will mess up your graphics. For this tile set in particular, we need to put 16 by 16. If you don't do that, you will have problems later, and you will have to delete and start over the tile palette that you're making, because the size will not match. So once you make sure you did not skip a step, you have 16 by 16. You click on slice, then everything appears white like this. It kind of cut the unnecessary parts. Then there's another button you need to apply. I need to move the window a little bit. There, the button apply. When you click on that, it's actually going to load, because it's going to create all the little squares that are cut and put them in the folder where you had the initial tilesheet.png. So depending on your computer, this can take up to a minute or something. Once it's done, I will put the right screen back up. There you go. So I'm back to the place where we left before we prepared this style sheet. Now it's all prepared. It's multiple 16. I removed the filter, I removed the compression, and I cut them in 16 by 16. Everything is perfect. So now if we go on the other tab, we had the world map here, where we had the green all over the place, just to show you quickly. But now I'm gonna repair quickly the broken pixel. Sometimes it happens because I did a Control Z to back up, but when you back up one too many times, or sometimes this happens. Whatever, you just repair it. Ground layer 1, you paint it back. So yeah, so now we need to create a new thing. You don't see it because there's like a stupid thing in OBS where it doesn't show the pop-up menu, but you need to click on where it's written overworld. It's a drop-down menu, and then you will click on create a new palette. Then a window will pop. You will give a name to this palette, and then you will click on create. You can name it like you want. I prefer to name it like the palette, like the tile sheet is named, not to be confused. So I name it Japan City Free. So now that I've created it, you see the name is there in the list of the palettes that I have, but there's nothing. That's because I need to slide it in there. The one that I prepared, that is all cut in 16 by 16. So you hold the left click and you see where it's going to be positioned. So try not to put it off screen and you're not even sure if it's missing a part. Be sure that you see the corner. You seeing the corner top left means that you're sure it's entirely going to be included on the palette. So when you're sure it's fine, you drop the left click. It's gonna load a little bit because it's gonna put all the paint on the palette, so to speak. So it's loading right now, even on a 4090 it's loading. So expect some loading. It won't be too long though. There you go. So now the palette is there and is usable. So my guy is zooming in. If I remember correctly, I'm gonna speak about removing the green the green ground from the previous tile sheet, because it's not the same. We don't want to mix mix the overworld demo map with this Japanese city tile set. It's just not the same level of details. We want to avoid mixels. I know I'm guilty of that to some extent, but it needs to be fixed in time. So to save time, you want to fix this right away, and you want to just start by putting the screen color, the proper background color instead of the grass. So in the case of this Japanese city, the website where you got the asset, they got pictures as examples. So if you look the color of the street, think of it as the bedrock. So you want to replace the green grass with the color of the street. That's step number one. Maybe making it a bit bigger, because now it's not just a rectangle the size of the camera to show that it's that you can walk in it. Now it's actually going to be a piece of a city. So we should make this a bit bigger, but I think I just made it slightly bigger. Might have to make it bigger later, guys, but this is not a problem. You can make it bigger as much as you want. So for now, I think he's basically saying what I just said about the color of the street. So he's gonna pick this color. Instead of coloring one square at a time, gonna pick the square that paints an whole area. Make sure that you are on the ground layer, because if you don't have ground layer selected when you paint, you could be painting on solid or foreground without knowing it, and later would come up in your face like, oh, why is this like that? And then you will realize that you need to start all over your scene. When you paint, it's important to paint from the bottom up. Bottom means ground layer 1, ground layer 2, then solid 2, and what is on top has to be in the foreground. Switchable layers and other stories for complex structures. We'll cover that much later. For now, you really need to master. I did not mention the background layer. We'll mention that later too. It does a cool visual effect on the back of the scenes, but for now we won't make the scenes prettier. For now, it's just as the time goes by, we'll make the scene prettier one way at a time, because I cannot teach everything at the same time. So we need to go one short episode at a time for you to have the time to digest and to copy what I do. So right now I selected a section of the street, because when I start to paint a scene, in this case, the case of this video, I'm not gonna have the white page syndrome and wait for inspiration. No. I'm just gonna copy literally, almost literally, the image on the picture of the site. So I'm just gonna put the street there. I'm gonna put a house or two, and I'm gonna call it a day for this little zone, because this is not the point to make a huge zone. This is just to show everything in a zone. So we're gonna make a bit bigger than this. This is too small, and we're gonna make more than just one zone, because I want to show moving from a zone to another. I want to show the concept of the scripts that you create. They don't follow from a scene to another unless you configure them too, and we have to cover all that if you want to make your game really more dynamic. And yeah, because if you look, my game is still in development, of course, but if you look at the trailer, you will see many stuff that are not included. Well, not many, but some stuff that are not included in the 2D RPG kit. I will show you how to do them, and you can do them. It's compatible, but you will need to listen carefully and follow my instructions. Otherwise, you will not. You will have problems. So the goal, if you want, you don't have to implement everything that I show, but if you want to implement something that I show, it always comes with instructions that needs to be followed, because right now I'm in teacher mode, and I need to show things in a certain order that makes sense. So right now I'm explaining the difference in the size of the pixel. So let's say I want to put a pot plant. You cannot be on the ground layer 1 and try to put a pot plant on ground layer 1. The message you're sending to the computer is replace this square of the grid with this one. But the square of the plant is not 16 by 16. It's like 15 by 14. It's not. So there's a space. So you need to go on ground layer 2. Well, you would step on it. What you would really want is a foreground layer for a hanging plant. But the point is, I'm showing you that how layer works. Like I said earlier, a rug would be ground layer 2, because it's how it works. So now that I I just went back to show what happens if the pixel is not a perfect square. It creates problems. But now, since this piece of un trottoir, crosswalk, sidewalk, this piece of the sidewalk is all perfect squares, so you can just stay on the ground layer 1. It will not create holes. But now I want some parts of the sidewalk to be hard. So right now I'm setting the solid layer 1. So what I'm gonna draw will now be hard. By that I mean the player character will not be able to walk on top of it. So there's that, and then I want this little part here too. Not explain me. You choose what you can step on and what you can't. I decided that I like it like that. I think that my character should be forced to walk where the asphalt is lower, and the places that is very high, it should be avoided. It gives a sense of being in the actual city instead of just walking in a picture like my old non-Unity games. So right now, since this is just a demonstration, I'm just going very, very fast. So I'm just showing like basically you can select the entire house in the tile map and just be like, hey, you solid layer right there. There you go. I got a house. Okay. The roof is not configured properly. We need to fix collisions and stuff. But still, look how fast this was. Look how fast this was. So now let's fix this to make this more realistic. We start by cutting a square like this. But so when I remove the square, it will make a hole. So now I need to patch the hole with the appearance of what I want the player to walk on, which is this. So I section what I just removed from solid and I put it on the ground 1. So basically it's the same appearance. I just removed the collision layer by putting it on ground 1. So now the player can walk there. I do the same on this little part there. Here. Sorry, my accent is all over the place. This is very hard for me. So there you go. Now that the player can walk where he should, I think this is now that I'm gonna use the foreground layer to make a little roof so that your head can go under to really go all out on the whole 2D graphics. So I put the foreground layer here. Once that being done, the player, though the solid layer is still there, so he's not gonna. So we need to remove the solid layer, and he will be able to walk there. And we don't see a hole because we already painted the foreground layer. Since I already painted it, it's there. If you did not click fast enough, but you just have to paint it after. It's okay. So I add a bit of the brick on the top and the brick on the right. Otherwise, the air of the player will go through the wall. So I'm gonna leave the left side open so that you can see his air will go through the wall because I did not put a cover up foreground layer on the left. So I'm doing this mistake on purpose so that you see. So right now he's explaining that you will most likely spawn in the middle of the scene if you don't do anything about it. And if you spawn in the middle of the scene right now, that happens to be in the middle of a wall. That's not good. So to avoid being stuck in a wall or appearing outside of the map or all the weird stuff that happens, you right click, you do 2D RPG kit, you select player start. It makes Rem's face appear like that with the start. You can place it wherever you want and the player is forced to spawn there. But this does not affect, let's say, the person playing the game. This is only for you, the developer. When you create a scene like that, you are not going to the natural state of the game, which is to start with the title screen and then load a new game and then the game state. Right now, you are straight up, bam, into the newly created scene, and it's the main object loader that carries all the 2D RPG kit wonderfulness that makes the character being able to interact with the world right away before we even program anything. Okay. So right now, nothing that we do aside from making the character appear has to do with the kit. Painting the scene itself is just a Unity thing. But now the kit will come in ND very soon. It already is, but it will come in more ND soon than just painting. So right now I'm testing the layers. Everything is fine. I can indeed go under. On the right, my hair don't show, but on the left, bam, my hair go to the wall, like I said. That's because the way layering works, everything has a value, a mathematical value. So let's say the player right now is on by default layer player 1. This is higher than the ground, so we see him. He's next to the wall. We see his head instead of seeing the wall. This means the player is worth more than the wall. But when you go under the roof, oh, the foreground is worth more than the player, because the foreground is on the layer foreground instead of the layer player. And the foreground layer is always on the foreground. It's in the name. And you're always going to be like this unless you do like I do right now. As a joke, you can put the player on foreground. You're Jesus suddenly. You cannot do that. You need to remove this. You never touch stuff that you don't understand. Okay, this is a clone that is instantiated. You do not want you don't want to start messing around stuff you don't understand. That's why you end up with an invisible hero every other day. Follow the guides, everything will go well. So now that being said, this episode is already over. I know the house looks terrible, but I just wanted to make this very clear with the microphone, this part of the layering of the 16 by 16 and everything. So the next episode, I think I'm just gonna do a long Bob Ross like painting episode. I'm just not just that, but I'm gonna paint the rest of the scene on fast forward with some commentary maybe, and then yeah, we're gonna be ready to push things a lot further. So thank you guys, and I see you next time. So hi everyone, thank you very much for staying until the end of the video. I like to take this time to ask you to please go on Steam and wishlist my game. Also, you can go on Twitch to see me doing some live development occasionally. If you're a super Chad or super Chadette, you can do additional support on Patreon. Otherwise, please like and subscribe. Those are really what I'm looking after, because I need to reach 500 subscribers to even be able to get some sort of income from YouTube. Until then, I'm doing this all for free. So thank you for subscribing very much.